We're actually dealing with real kids and real kid issues and real life issues in some pretty tough streets.
To me, there's got to be a better way, because what happens when you have a fight is that you literally are picked up, handcuffed, you're put in the back of a squad car, you're taken to juvenile processing on Mount Olivet Road, and you are put in a cell. And that's what we don't want to see. We want to always get to them before that happens. We need another alternative for kids that are getting arrested.
Okay, so have either of you ever heard of mediation before?
Yes.
Yes? Tell me what you know about mediation, Davon.
So we're at the 3rd District Police Station working with a couple of young boys who were seized by the police for allegedly shoplifting at a large retailer here in Washington, D.C.
So they told you to come here, they took you in a little room where they had cameras. They told you to take anything out of your pockets that was from the store. And then what happened?
You just put us in the car. Take us to the place, the little youth services place.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people get very focused on punish, 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 make it so they never do those things again. Access Youth, restorative justice, just the word restorative, the word rehabilitation, you know, they're positive words.
The core piece about mediation is sort of who has the power, because they're used to a principal, they're used to their parent, and they're used to a judge. And basically, you know, I'll say, well, what do you think my job is as your mediator today? And they'll say, tell me what to do. And I'll say, well, actually, the coolest part about mediation is that's not what happens. The people that have the power to decide what happens are each of you.
There's the agreement. Over the next 6 months, I'll probably be contacting you guys about every other week or so, just to check in.
One of the things that we really started to see was that more and more youth were coming into our programs because they were getting arrested for a simple assault, which was really a fight in a school. Traditionally in school systems, when you look at behavior issues in particular, it's all about discipline. Currently, we have a staff person at each school, one at Ballou and one at H.T. Woodson, 2 of the toughest high schools in D.C. The number of students that are eligible for our program far surpasses our capacity. We know that we have to have 1 staff person focused on truancy, 1 staff person focused on alternatives to suspension behavior issues. And 1 person can barely scratch the surface, because we're looking at basically 1 incident that would lead to suspension happening every single day, and we don't want to be turning away students that can benefit.
What's going on? You 2 are friends just 2 weeks ago.
The whole situation was, I felt like she was being petty because I felt like she sent it.
I have an open door policy. If you feel like, you know, you're just getting annoyed in class and you just need a break, I'd rather you come down here for 5 minutes and have a seat rather than walking the hallways without a pass, getting in trouble, being suspended. So you said something different.
Something old from
Some
an old
old
ex.
to her boyfriend
to her
presently to get back at her,
Mm-hmm.
for what she just did. Given that space and that trust, they begin to feel like they can come here and open up and tell me things that they wouldn't tell anyone else in this building.
It has reduced the number of students that we have absent and late. And it's done that by having somebody who has a one-on-one contact with the students every day, who has built a relationship with the students every day.
We are able to teach them the tools that they need to really make better choices in the future.
We're not gonna fight.
Thank you.
So I'm just like, leave it alone.
That's where I wanted my group hug at.
So he takes like minor issues that could become serious and he stops them right there in their tracks.
When they enter into our program, they become sort of one of our access youth for the rest of the school year. The ideal scenario for us is that we continue to sort of build on these pilots at HD, Woodson, and Ballou, and that we can take that learning and use these programs and replicate them in multiple schools throughout DC.
Who would turn down having an additional staff member in the building, especially with like the outcomes we had at Woodson last year as it relates to attendance?
When people think about kids that get in trouble, they think of them as bad kids. They think of them as kids that are sort of hopeless, that don't really have a chance of being a good adult and a good citizen. Every young person just needs a caring adult in their lives. They need to feel heard. They need to feel understood. And when they do something wrong, they need to be able to take accountability by really feeling the impact that what they've done has on someone else.
Just to think you could be sitting in your own living room minding your own business, and here they go. You know, my life was in a shambles. I was recently divorced. Then just out of the blue, a detective knocked on the door and said he wanted to talk to me about an assault, just a sexual assault, just 3 miles down the road. So I said, sure, let him in. And he wanted to know if he could take a picture. I said, yes.
My mother asked me to go to the store to get some sweet potato and bread for our Sunday dinner. As I was going out of the house, the detective stopped me. And I said, I'm going to the grocery store. And he asked me, he said, well, can I take a couple of pictures of you? So I said, sure.
And I thought that was it, you know, until that Saturday. Just, I think it was 5 days later. Saturday morning, I opened the door, and there were 2 detectives with a warrant for my arrest.
And then they brought the lady to me, and she looked at me, and she looked at me like she wasn't too sure. Then she said, then the police, they talked to her, and then she looked at me again, she said, are you sure? It's a man. And she said, they like this. Then they talked to her again. The 3rd time, she said, that's the man. Last time I'm free.
Marissa, yeah, I can talk real quick. Did you know, she said she took polygraphs. Do we know if she took polygraphs as well? I just want to talk with him to go over the evidence, and not everybody's guilty. I mean, when you look at MAPE, and the reason why MAPE exists is to help those that are actually innocent, whether it's through DNA or actual investigations, on scene interviews, and looking at police officers and how they did the work. That's one of the most frustrating things with me, is how some of these investigators or detectives or police officers did such a sloppy job and not follow procedures. They let the evidence dictate what they wanted, not let the evidence take them where they're supposed to go.
You can transfer from being free and going to be locked up for 28 years. You know, you go into a place you only can imagine, which you see on TV or you heard about. You know, going in there, when I first got into the system, I mean, it was crazy. You know, the guys, before you walk through the gate, guys whistling at you, you know, fresh meat, fresh meat.
Oh, I was crushed. I couldn't, my mind was scrambling for why. I didn't know about misidentifications and things like that. It wasn't done fairly at all because, well, the plaid shirt. They said that the man was wearing a red and white plaid shirt, had a beard and blonde hair, and I was the only one in the photo spread with a plaid shirt.
It's not, you know, the sort of evil prosecutor who's hiding evidence in a drawer, or the dirty cop who's taking bribes on the side. That's not the prototype of the cases I see. The cases I see are pretty normal criminal cases in which something happened to go wrong.
Something about this case makes me really uncomfortable.
It's real, yeah, First and I were talking about it. It
smells funny.
It's fishy.
There have always been wrongful convictions, and DNA was critical. What DNA did was take the doubt out of it. So in a lot of these other cases, it turned on witnesses. And I think there were people who said, well, there aren't really wrongful convictions. These are cases where you've got people are unreliable, you can't say for sure. Suddenly with DNA, you could say for sure. And I think that opened people's eyes to the idea that people do get wrongfully convicted. And so even in non-DNA cases now, they're still harder, but it's allowed people to see that it happens, and it's sort of opened the door to more non-DNA exonerations as well.
I wrote Sean and I told her, I guarantee, I bet my life, if you get some DNA test, it will point to him. And she said, okay, I'm gonna take a look at your case.
Most of our cases come to us when prisoners write us letters. So we get about 60 new requests per month from prisoners who are claiming innocence.
If I find the truth, and the truth is that you're guilty, then we move on. We don't waste our time. Or if I find that you're innocent and there's issues that we can deal with, we investigate those until all avenues are exhausted. Basically what you end up doing in cases like this, you go back and you re-interview all the witnesses, and you find somebody you think that could really give you some information.
I mean, these guys have had their entire lives taken away from them. And there's also a real perpetrator sitting out there. So not only have you just destroyed somebody's life, you've let the real guy walk free.
It used to be you'd always hear that we'd rather let 10 guilty men go than one innocent man be convicted. But that's one of the most basic American things, is liberty and justice, and I don't think that we're getting our money's worth.
If we weren't a society, then we wouldn't care. But we believe in the justice system, and if the justice system is wrong, then it needs to be corrected.
We are an incredibly lean organization. Over the past 3 years, we've secured 9 exonerations, and only 2 other innocence organizations have secured as many. And one of those has a budget that's 30 times our size. I sometimes sit there and think about what we could be doing if we had more people and if we had more resources to get the job done. I think the reason to give to us is because even though the number of exonerations is relatively small, each of these exonerations represents a huge opportunity to change the way we think about the criminal justice system.
This organization is striving to fight for the respect and the dignity of them who cannot fight for themselves. This could be your son, it could be you.
Does it make you think about that? Being aware of these situations, does it ever bother you that one day that could happen? Do you ever think about it?
It's really meeting people exactly where they are and interrupting and intervening in their life to say, hey, I don't know you, but I care about you.
Living on the streets, it wasn't the safest thing. When you spend your money on, marijuana, cigarettes every day, because there's nothing else to do. You're not in school, you're not, you don't have a job, you're just doing what you feel like doing.
I'm here because I want to make a change, I don't want to be just another person on the street, you know. I don't want to be a bum. I want to be something.
It's easy to judge us because we're both, well, I mean, to be honest, we're black, we're young. We come from a generations and generations of drugs and guns and stuff. It's easy to judge us, but nobody never takes the time out to say what happened to them before they got to that point.
Are y'all Anthony? Come on, we're gonna play the label game.
Everybody gotta try to help Miss Lisa guess what's on her head. Okay, give her clues.
A lot of times people look at the children as being bad, but they're not bad. They just have issues in their household as far as drug and alcohol addiction, parents in and out of jail, and they're raising themselves. And all they need is a little guidance, a little love, and a little help.
Oh, I'm a hustler.
We work with runaway and homeless youth in the city, and we do a lot of work with families in an effort to try to keep people together, to try to strengthen family relations, so young people don't need to be away from home. But we recognize that for some families, it is impossible to put it back together. And so we also have places for young people to grow up, and then we do everything that we can to provide what good families would provide their kids.
I'm here for probably like disrespecting my mom. I have a better relationship with my mom now, so I can actually hold a conversation longer than 5 minutes with her.
Tonight, we're going out there to continue to make sure people stay familiar with us, and that that people know that Sasha Bruce is around and available to help.
So when we're out in the outreach van, we're literally looking for young people that need help and need that extra support. That's the scary thing about youth homelessness. It's not necessarily a young person being on the street and freezing to death. It's them making the decision to find shelter in a place that's unsafe or worse than being on the street.
Okay. So you get some young people that need some help, you need a place to stay, they may be crashing on your couch, have them call us. I'm just trying to meet young people where they are and talk to them about, how they can kind of get connected into Sasha Bruce. Now we out of candy, boss. But we be around there next Tuesday, though.
Come through these doors, you're going to be safe, not concerned about what's going to happen next. And being able to meet somebody that has your best interest at heart.
Yeah, scoot up a chair. I got you. Scoot up. Let me see. Let me get you right in here, okay?
If they're angry, I let them be angry, and I let them know, how you doing? I'm Lisa. Welcome to Sasha Bruce. Let me know if you need anything, and I know you don't want to talk right now. Your world is shattered. But when you're ready to talk and communicate with me, I just want you to know that I'm here for you and I understand.
And how you ladies? And how did your first night go?
It was okay.
You weren't scared or anything like that, were you?
That you're gonna choose your own destiny. I'm at the mental toughness retreat, and I actually feel like I just made a transformation. That exercise we just did, it opened up my eyes to a more brighter picture. Most programs are just for the now. You guys are in it for the long run, and that's what we need.
From a different what? Different perspective.
Sasha Bruce is gonna get me where I want to be because I never finished high school, and I need my GED. I need that to better myself, better my career.
We let them know you have to be educated. You really need the high school diploma, and if you want to further your career, you go to college or military, and we try to put those things into play for them so they can have options.
I got a one-bedroom apartment. You get 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. You spent $800, so you got $200.
We've had more need than we've had beds. I'm glad I'm not on the other end of the line where you have to prioritize who's going to get the bed. So I'm glad that's not part of my job description. I couldn't do it.
Beginning to end. Ready? Y'all ready?
The challenges are to keep everything funded. You know, we're not seeing all of the kids who need our services.
I'm really grateful this program gave me the opportunity to be here. It gave me a chance and I took up on it.
I'm just gonna try my best. I'm not gonna be there just to be a statistic in the street no more. I'm here to better myself and pass the message to somebody else that let you know Sergeant Bruce is more than a program, more than your GED. It's high expectation for your success.
I'm ready to grow up. I understand that I'm not gonna be able to do it by myself, and I need help and I need guidance, and I don't have that at home, so I need that here.
You want to do so much. When you listen to these children and they open up to you and they talk and they pour their heart, you would want to do it. Anybody with a heart would want to help a child in need.
My mom told me, your father's in jail. It was like hearing on the news that someone had went to jail. I really didn't care. I never really felt anything special or a direct bond with him. He was like, I haven't talked to you in a while, and I was like, yeah, it's true. He said, hey son, I want you to attend this camp called Camp Hope. You go to a camp for a week, and you could visit me every day.
If you fall, you can put some more smaller things up there. Look, some things that are more bendable.
My mom was like, "You going to camp?" I was like, "Camp?" I said, "I'm too big for camp. I'm 14." She's like, "Your father really wants you to go, and it's a camp for you to go see your father." Yeah, I said, "Where do we camp at, in the prison? Because I don't want to camp in no prison." She's like, "No, you camp outside the prison, and then you go there during the days to go see him."
That's Tyrone.
And I started Hope House in 1998 to help families stay connected to their loved ones in prison. The idea is to help fathers and children build relationships and strengthen bonds.
I assure you, we will take good care of your children. Love you.
As I looked at programs that were available for fathers in prison, I found that there were none. Even though 93% of the people in prison are men, in sheer numbers there are more programs for mothers in prison than there are for fathers in prison.
The first day that I was there, we were walking through all these different doors, we're taking off our shoes. I felt like the time has come, like the moment's here. I describe it as at first nervous, but when you get in there and when you see him and give him a hug, and you feel great, you feel relieved, and most of all, you feel happy.
It's an art-based program. We do dancing, music, and each activity is geared to helping fathers and children get to know each other better.
When he was first in prison, it was a glass, and you had to talk to him through a phone. And I hated that. Oh, my goodness. Talking through a phone and being with someone, having a conversation is totally two different things. You can't hug nobody through a phone.
To be honest with you, I was very reluctant at first in a maximum security prison to do something like this. And the administration as a group sat down and said, okay, we'll give it a try. Let's give it a try, and it turned out great.
I hadn't seen my son since he was about 1 year old when I was incarcerated. So when we met for the first time, he was 11 years old at the first camp. You know, since then, me and my son have built a bond that's going to last a lifetime.
To participate in the program, fathers have to complete a parenting program and have clear conduct for a year prior to camp.
The fathers were very closely screened and educated on the process, how they would be able to talk with their children. It's a tool also for us to manage the inmate. Those inmates who want to get out and have a chance to get out, when they are able to talk to their kids, they have an incentive to do well in prison.
When I'm out, like down where I live, I'm just hoping he stays out of trouble so I can see him the next year. He works an entire year to be good in prison so he can actually see me for 25 hours in camp.
Each year we ask the fathers and children to create a mural that is a perfect day with Dad. What would they be doing if they were not here?
When we were thinking of ideas for the mural, we thought, why don't we do a mural about basketball, since that's what we love to do.
When we went back to the cabins, that's the only thing the kids could talk about was their father and what they wanted to do, mural ideas, what they wanted to do with their father the next day.
Every night we'd sit in a circle and talk about our day. And one night we talked about our fathers and how much time they were in for, and if they would ever get out.
At his age is when I started going down the wrong path. At a very young age, using drugs and alcohol is what led me to prison. You don't ever want your children to repeat the mistakes that you've made. Our ultimate goal is to get back together in this lifetime, no matter how long it may take. You know, I'm incarcerated with life plus 40 years consecutive on first-degree murder charge. So it's a very serious situation, and you know, it's something that I wish had never happened.
I want to thank the staff, you know, because y'all didn't have to participate in this. Y'all didn't have to take any type of notice of us, you know, as being inmates. You know, it takes a lot of courage from y'all just to deal with us, and we really appreciate it. And for y'all kids, man, y'all keep your heads up, you know. For all of us, we really do love y'all. We really do care about y'all, and we want y'all to be the best that you can be, and know that y'all can do better than we are, you know, and that we do really love y'all. So we thank everybody. Amen.
The last day, they put on a song by Luther Vandross. People were like slow dancing, and we were just standing in front of each other talking, and I was sad that I was leaving because I felt like I wanted to hang out and get to know each other a little longer.
It's a wrap. Say goodbye. Say goodbye.
Love you, Dad. I was hoping to become closer so when he got out of jail, we could keep this going and have a real father-son relationship. Before camp, I didn't think of him at all. But now that when I do start to think about him, I think good things. I think there's hope for him to come out and stay out forever and for us to really create something good.